Welcome back to Gallagher Shots. It's extra time. The last 7 days at Newcastle United FC. My name is Emil Franchi, and I'm finally been joined by Jess. She's back. How are you doing, mate?
I'm good, thank you. Have you missed us?
Good. I have actually. It's been weird. I've got 2 weeks without actually speaking to you face to face.
Yeah.
But speaking all the time in between. But here we are, back again. And Newcastle actually have a point this week. So I think that was your criteria for coming back. Newcastle had to get a point before you fully returned.
I was on strike.
It's
been a secret strike.
Yeah, so take that, Steve Bruce, if you're watching. Look what's happened. We lost viewers last week because of that. So here we are once again. It's a Halloween special, which is why we've been joined by Graham and Josh tonight, as you can see. And sorry, lads, straight in there. But
I'll take it. It's not the worst compliment.
Graham's from Anyone's Game. Graham, so nice to have you on. Big fan of your work, and we'll be getting on to your excitement during the Wolves game where you actually managed to fall asleep.
It was a great nap. I loved it.
Best nap of the season so far. And Josh Banyard, who's on. Josh, you are, of course, you're involved with is it the foundation, or are you just in charge of the campaign with being a game changer?
I'm involved. I take quite a big part in the campaign, and it's all obviously based around men's mental health and spreading awareness of the campaign.
Yeah, great stuff.
Massive passion.
Really nice to have you on. Big fan again of all the stuff that you've been doing with that. We had the special podcast that the lads did. They got to go to the fancy box as well, didn't they? To go and record all that.
Yeah.
So basically, this is why we've got you on. We're here just to get the incentives, me and Jess. So as soon as we're allowed back in the stadium, we'll be glad to go.
Take us with you.
It's already booked in.
It's
booked in.
It's already in. It's booked in already.
Done.
We've been pipped to the post already. Well, it's. Straight in. Listen, lads. It's new faces. It's always nice to have some new faces and new views. So we'll jump straight in with the game against Wolves. It was almost misery at Molineux, and we came into that game with the news that John Joe Shelby was going to be missing. Jess, did you think that was a bit of a blessing in disguise, given the amount of change that we saw with the team?
Well, I've been very critical of John Joe Shelby so far this season, but then I can't really say that. I can't really say that we missed him, but then I can't really say that we were any better for not having him. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I think I was a little bit gutted that he was gone, because I just feel like we need the depth of having the players there. So to lose anyone's always going to be a bit of a blow for me, to be honest. So
yeah. And we did see a massive change to the team. We just literally it was pretty much a case of throw anyone in there who was available. Graham, as I alluded to, you fell asleep, but it was quite similar to what Kieran Dyer was saying before the game about Newcastle being quite boring to watch. Do you think that was one of the fairest points we've seen from pundits in recent weeks?
The most accurate thing a pundit has ever said in the last 5-10 years or something.
13.
Yeah, I mean, we were shocking, like usual. My expectations are so low these days that I'll be amazed if we have a shot on target. But we were just awful. You say it was almost misery, but for me it was still the same misery.
Yeah, I agree.
It was just, there was nothing there. There was no attacking threat. There was just nothing, and it was just I fell asleep. I loved it. It was nice. And they just bore me. I'm with Kieran Dyer.
At which point did you fall asleep? Which bit did you miss? Because I'll try and tell you about it.
No need, because I actually rewound it.
Okay.
Absolutely nothing.
The joy of TV these days.
In fact,
these were my notes from that part of the game. If you're wondering, Graham.
Yeah.
So the bit you missed, it was just that, to be honest. So
yeah, I think I fell asleep around the 20-minute mark. So.
Yeah. Oh wow, that's early.
I lasted quite well.
You got the best bits, didn't you? There was other comments, very very you might say the complete opposite of what Kieran Dyer was saying. Tim Sherwood on Saturday was saying that Newcastle. Yeah, there you go. That's all we need to say on that matter. From the man who wore a gilet and handed it to a fan and said, "You do the job." I think that's all you need to know about Tim Sherwood. I think it was quickly brushed under the carpet, if you like, and fair play to Jeff Stelling for standing up for us. He normally tends to do that. By the end, Josh, Jacob Murphy got his goal. Do you think that's a great sign of the hard work paying off for him?
You'd like to think so. Being a local lad, you'd hope he's going to kick on and achieve great things, but it's Newcastle United. It won't happen. No, unfortunately, he'll get dropped in the next game. We won't see him again for 6 weeks. He'll get picked up again, have half a good game, and then fall off the radar again.
I was going to ask you about. Let's focus on his passionate comments, because there was a lovely interview with him afterwards, where he was saying about how he'd studied the keeper.
Yeah, he's been doing
the
his
night before.
homework.
Yeah, exactly. Which is all you can ask for, seeing as the manager doesn't seem to be doing it. So yeah, at least one of the players is giving it his best shot, and I mean, I was buzzing for him. It certainly was the only thing that I could say happened in that game for Newcastle that was good. But I don't know about this, Jess, but do you think that was still a good point, given the way that Wolves are?
I mean, any point's a good point, because if Bruce stays, I said at the end of the game, if Bruce stays, we're in a relegation battle regardless. We can't keep relying on. We've already done an episode on it. Shithousing.
Yes.
We're 5 games in, and we've already shithoused our way to like 2 points, I think.
We have.
So we can't keep relying on luck. Basically, our luck will run out at one point. So I think if Bruce stays, we're in a relegation battle. So for me, any point's a good point. But it's not good in the sense of how we got it, because we were absolutely atrocious again.
Do you think that this is the foundations to a bit of a turning point? I know that sometimes it takes 2 weeks for Newcastle to really respond to a result like the Man United one, Graham. Do you think that there might be a basis that, point away from home, yes, it's against Wolves, who didn't look at their best and were going up against Everton at the weekend? Do you think that there's a possibility?
I can't see it as a turning point, mate. I'm sorry. Like, I didn't really want to come on here and be like really negative and bring a downer on everyone's week. Sorry, guys.
It's fine.
But I don't see it as a turning point at all, because we just played the same crap. Basically, it was, and to be honest, the main thing that annoyed me about the Wolves game was we actually set up really attacking, and if anything, we were less attacking than the game before, which made no sense whatsoever. And I don't know what goes on the training ground, whether Bruce has just like got them all in a room and made them watch just defending videos or whatever, and nothing on attacking.
There's videos of him at Man United, isn't it?
Yeah, that's all it is. But it's just so slow, laboured, and really just passive. There's no, even when Shelby is playing, there's no one sort of like dictating the play. I was actually saying to Andy on our WhatsApp group that we're missing someone that's actually going to dictate the play, and another player that's just going to tidy up, like a Sergio Busquets. I know we're never going to sign anyone like that, but someone who's just going to recycle the play and just do all the nitty gritty, boring stuff. And we're just missing a load of players.
Are you trying to say that we need Ross Barkley?
I'm trying to say in a way. That would be a great signing.
I know. It's one of them, and then at least Villa lost their 100% start of the season, so everyone can calm down. Villa are not going to win the league yet. But yeah, it was an interesting game, but I think we just have to look up now, don't we, and try and move on. Josh, do you think there's anyone who came in from that game that has definitely cemented their place in the starting lineup?
For me, it's got to be Almiron.
Excuse me.
I don't understand how he doesn't get played. I don't understand Bruce's thinking. He's tactically one of our best players. Everything he puts on the pitch is always 100%. And for me, he's the first name on the team sheet.
Yeah. Do you think he made a difference on
absolutely.
Sunday, him being in there?
Absolutely, his work rate's phenomenal.
He
The only
just
thing
didn't
is
stop
that-
running.
That's it. He's just his commitment to the cause is second to none. Is his end product there? Not always, but it's still for his work rate. You'd have him in the team every day of the week.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm very pleased to see Almiron back, and I think everyone is, to be honest. One thing that a bit 50-50 about being back is hashtag NUFC Takeover. Back on the front line. Yeah,
Do
look
we
at
have
that.
to?
Look at that. we will not delve in too much detail, but Jess, do you think that this is just a bit of hype over nothing?
Yes. Move on.
Yeah. It's true. No, it's true. It does seem like sensationalization of headlines that we spoke to Ketch about the other week. A lot of things that are just getting blown up. Graham, if we're looking at anything in this, do you think that there's potential that at least the see Jess left because the takeover got brought up there, so that says all you need to know.
Well done.
But do you think there was at least some of the backing of the right people, the right pieces moving around while all of this is going on with, Jimmy Rubin and everything like that?
I just don't see it happening. Honestly, it's rumbled on for so long that I actually forgot that it was even happening. But it's just I don't see it. I think it's just been sensationalized and more the fact that people really want it to happen. But I just people are just gonna have to stop dreaming. I'm afraid. They're like it's gone, it's done, it's dead to me, and. Yeah, I've cried over it already. I don't need to cry over it again. That's it. It's just people need to move on now, because I think it is a real big distraction. I rarely agree with Mike Ashley on anything, but the one thing he has said, I do actually agree with this, is that if a takeover does ever happen, it will happen with no one catching wind of it, and it'll be like the Man City deal.
Yeah.
But for every single takeover story that we have had, it's just been blown up, and
it's small things that get a real big coverage, isn't it? And then that sends everyone
people
into
talking
pandemonium.
about bread. What is this?
Well, I mean, that's the mad thing, that was actually about 3 weeks ago when the first bread post came about with this thing. So I'm operating on the basis that no news is always good news, because if we don't hear anything, it either means nothing's happening or something's bubbling away in the background, which we don't need to know about. And that is my opinion with it now. But it's happened in the worst possible time. Josh, I know that obviously the campaign around Be a Game Changer has all to do with mental health, but do you think it's healthy to have this going back and forth every time? We've had it, especially during lockdown as well, when this kicked off in April. It seems like this couldn't have happened at a worse time for Newcastle fans.
It's just toying with emotions, isn't it? It's making people... I mean, I got caught up in it and the euphoria of expecting it to happen. I mean, let's be honest, we were all there. We'd signed Mbappe. I had number 9 on my shirt with Mbappe across it, ready, waiting. But the minute we found out it wasn't real, it just puts you into a slump. And it's a brief point, it's a kick in the balls, isn't it, really? Like, there's no better ways of putting it, and it will affect people's mental health because people put so much into the club, and so much of their passion is the football club, and having the optimism of us getting a takeover, being the richest club in the world, was unreal. And then to have it taken away, all of a sudden you've got nothing, and you're left in this little dark corner again, watching Bruce Ball.
Yeah, it was a horrible time when it was it the Friday or the Thursday when we were just told that's it. And it was an empty feeling. But the thing is, the football still goes on. Some of the feeling comes back. We got to celebrate Callum Wilson joining and things like that. So it pains me every time we go back to it, because it just feels like we're going back into those dark depths of starting to talk about Pochettino coming to the club, which is just ridiculous. But there was something this week that I did find interesting, that apparently anyone who's even trying to make an effort to buy Newcastle, if they exist, they're not getting through. So whether Mike Ashley is holding out for something, that remains to be seen. But in the meantime, he's been making his mouth go, and amazingly, man of the people, is saying that PPV should be out. Jess, were you pleased to see that?
No, absolutely not. He's a hypocrite.
Aye.
Like he's a horrible person. I've seen the word hero used in the same sentence as Mike Ashley.
Can we get them locked up, please?
I'm sorry. Yeah, like
was it Cadbury's though, or was it him?
I'm sorry, but you can't forgive 13 years because he wants a deal to go through, which is going to see him land what £300 million. Like, of course he does. Like, that's common sense. But that doesn't make him a hero. That doesn't forgive the last 13 years of utter shite that we've had to put up with. So no, he knows exactly what he's doing. He's a very, very clever man in the wrong ways, and he's trying to get the fans on side. And this whole PPV thing, people are buying into it, but also forgetting that he's got a year's worth of season ticket money that people haven't been able to go to games for. So he can jog on, as far as I'm concerned.
Well, in the last few hours, we have seen that apparently is getting resolved, and long
finally.
I mean, it's long overdue that's been going on. So it looks like December is going to be the time for those. But the Mike Ashley, the hero, is not something that I would like to think about. I still think that he's very much a cream egg twisted man. The takeover stuff's just been dairy milked to death now, and any whispers that we do in recent weeks, it's just a total fudge for me.
That was
Find me another person doing these things that can think on the spot like that. I'll just say
absolutely 10 out of 10.
Thank you, Josh. Yeah. I'll do a twirl for you after I finish.
Have a celebration.
See, if you start saying celebration, people are going to watch this video and just think, who the hell's that prick? Sorry. So let's get on to our main talking point now that we've got through the dross. That's pretty much anything that's going on right now. Let's delve into the past. We wanted to talk about favourite players who actually support the club. Given that Jacob Murphy is a big fan, him and his twin brother, of course. There was that lovely moving announcement video when they arrived of the two of them in their maroon and blue away kits from the 95 season, which was great, and the club really played up to that, and it was great. Obviously, there's one man who is the main man for this, and that is Alan Shearer, sheet metal worker's son from Gosforth, if you like. Alan Shearer got mentioned a couple of times on Twitter, but what is it, Jess, about Alan Shearer? What is it?
I don't. He just gets it. He just gets it, yeah. And it's obviously not the success that he had with the club, but
it's pretty good anyway, wasn't he?
But it's the personal success. Like, I know we were talking about it unrelated. We were talking about it in the group about how good it would be if Harry Kane broke his record purely just because we've won nothing as a club, so it's nice to have that association. It's like that record's ours as far as I'm concerned. But he just gets it. Like, you can tell that he's always been a genuine fan from being a boy, and I think that's what most people love about him.
Yeah, I was going to say as well, because I know that we had the chat about players who may have never played for Newcastle or have briefly played for Newcastle. Shearer's name was probably the best advertising board that Newcastle United could have, because not only was he one of our own, he also provided a name on the back of a shirt that was banging him in. And then you've got the likes of Alexander Mitrovic, who idolises him and comes to us and just punches people. I don't know where he got that from, Shearer. But the other thing is Dimitar Berbatov. I think he was always going to be the one that got away. Chris mentioned in the group that Berbatov's the one that we would have loved to have seen in a Newcastle shirt, and I think he would have liked it even more. It's a weird Eastern European pact that Newcastle seem to build up. Graham, did you have one that you were going to put forward?
I did. He's mental, a bit like me. Gaza
is a great one.
One
Fantastic.
and only.
Did you get to see him play?
I did. not in a Newcastle shirt, unfortunately, but just the things that he could do with the ball were just. I think he was quite ahead of his time, actually. But he was a phenomenal player and an absolute nutcase, which I like. But yeah, he was just phenomenal, and I wish we had a player like him now. To be honest,
do you think we saw Gaza at his very best, or do you think there was still more to come?
I think he still had more to come. We had him quite early on, but we still saw some great moments from him. And
a bit of an up and down career after Newcastle, wasn't it? Because he went to so many different clubs, and I always find it hard to, everyone talks about Gaza, but the best time for me when you look at Gaza is when he was in an England shirt.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It seems to be that the memories you have, I know he went to Lazio and played for Rangers. Every club will have its own memory of him, but I think that the collective Gaza is England shirts, Italia 90, tears in eyes, and then add to that Euro 96.
He was phenomenal at Euro 96.
Yeah, I feel bad for him for if that's the main thing that people see when you say, "Oh, Gaza," then they see that picture, and I think that's quite a sad thing for him. But
it's sad, but I think that just shows that he was as passionate as they come. Really, as a player who knew he was going to miss the final, and then obviously we went out, but actual passion and probably getting away from the point here of the actual GEORDIE person. We saw him in the stands as a Newcastle fan, and I think that he was Bobby Robson's, forgotten child, perhaps, if you like. That story that always gets me is when Bobby Robson came to the game at St James's Park for his last ever appearance, and the one question he had after that game was, "How did Gaza do?" It wasn't about how the score was. It was, how did Gaza play? And obviously Gaza's documentary, which is brilliant, is really covers that quite nicely. Josh, who are you putting forward?
I think you've got to look at the local lads at the minute. I mean, we've got a few in the team, haven't we? Gillespie, Dummett, Murphy. There's a few knocking about in a minute. If you're looking further back, Clarkie's got to get mentioned.
Well, Clark was one of the ones that I put on the photo, and of course it was the infamous photo of him wearing his SMB shirt. Newcastle at the cup final. Lee Clark, he played for Sunderland at the time, was he? I think.
When he had that, the reason. He was.
And a few people on Twitter also pointed it out. They were like, he came to the games even when he was at Fulham. And he came back as well. Lee Clark had his swan song in a Newcastle shirt. What better way to finish? And the Carroll has obviously done something similar. And players at the minute. It's nice to have the Longstaffs in there, and a few others. Jess, who are you going to go for?
So mine is Shola. I absolutely love Shola. And for my 21st birthday, I got a hamster, and he was black and white, so I called him Shola.
I thought you were going to say you got Shola for you.
No, look, I've got a cushion with him on there. That was Shola.
There's Shola.
There he is. But mine would be Shola and Miobi, purely just like the whole Mackham Slayer thing. But also Stephen Taylor, which someone did suggest that, yeah. So someone suggested him on Twitter. Not always the best player, which you could obviously say the same with Shola as well. But he always put his neck on the line, like he always gave 110%. So,
or his arm on the line, if you're looking at that game that we've already mentioned a few weeks ago.
I think that gets mentioned every week.
Oscar worthy,
genuinely, because the Villa game got mentioned last week. We literally do it once a week. Stephen Taylor getting brought up. Do you think that there's something about the players that are from the northeast or support Newcastle? They are almost galvanised for the game.
I think they get it. They get it, don't they? Like,
I hope so. I mean,
it's like it's in them more. Like they want it more because it's going to mean more because it's their club.
It's just more hunger. There's just more hunger there, and you can see it. You can see it even from like the players that aren't from around here, but they've been at the club for a long time. They start to get it, and then the hunger they get more hunger from it. But I think some players that we've had in the past that have sort of used us as a stepping stone, Sissoko. You know, they don't tend to get it, and they don't really give a toss about us. And
was that a touch of the Sissoko at 19? Was it?
It was, sorry, and I forgot the coughing at my elbow. Oh man.
Yeah. I get it, because I would say that I always attributed to how well Newcastle did in the derby games. You look at the noughties into the kind of up to 2010 where things started to go a bit wrong against Sunderland. You know, you had Shearer in there and you had players around him that got it. Rob Lee adopted, Gary Speed, God rest his soul, and so many players who really bought into what the other players were saying. Whereas after that, it did dwindle a bit, and we lost the big names who would really spell out what that meant. And yeah, the likes of Sissoko didn't really get it. I would say that maybe only Colaccini, Tiote perhaps got the derby.
Joey Barton.
Joey Barton, and you know, this isn't to sound like you know, I'm not saying it's an actual thing, but you know, the players who obviously have grown up in England, in the UK, they will know the derby as being one of the most famous ones in the country. So it is harder to sell to the foreign players who comes in. And speaking of the foreign lads, Peter Beardsley, he's another guy who got mentioned quite a few times. You know, we're talking about his playing career here, of course. Josh, did you get to see Beardsley play?
I never saw him live. I think I was a bit late for that, but I've seen him on video, and he was one of the most talented footballers I've seen. He was unreal.
I think one of the tweets we got today said he unknowingly taught Messi everything that Messi knows. So
couldn't have put it better myself.
He was a magician.
It is strange to think that a player who played for Newcastle and England had that level of skill. Graham, did you have anything on Beardsley?
I mean, he was a fantastic player. I didn't really get to see much of him, a bit like Josh, but you know, I saw a bit of him towards the latter stages of his career, and he still had it. But he was phenomenal. He was a bit like Gaza in a way. He just had all these tricks, and he's just phenomenal. Some of the things that he could do with the ball was just crazy. But I feel a bit bad for him these days, because obviously with everything that's gone on, I don't know if we're allowed to mention that, but it's a shame, kind of tarnished his name a bit, and no one's really mentioned him.
Yeah, I know. It's I think still, you know, that the entertainers, people do really laud him as a magician. I don't know, was Beardsley one of the Wallsend Boys Clubs lads? Was he part of that kind of mythical path of players? Because I was going to mention there, you know, something in the water in Tyneside, and Wallsend Boys Club seems to be the one. And Steve Watson was another name that I was going to mention that someone brought up. Robbie Elliot too, who got his mention in our lovely lads team of the week, born on Christmas Day. Of course, we'll be celebrating the birth of Robbie Elliot in a few weeks' time. And the final one that we have to mention, Rob M on Twitter, who is gladly agreed to come on this video next week. If I'd known this story before it, I would have had to have got rid of one of you guys, because this has to make way for one of the best responses. You know it's good when a response gets 42 likes to your 9 in the original post. Rob M, his favourite player from Newcastle. Jamie McClenn, as he was shagging my sister in high school, which meant she was never at home.
Oh my God.
That came through before 12 o'clock, and it was seconds after I posted it. It's like he's been waiting for this to happen. Sadly, we're going to have to wait a week to get the full story, but as Rob did point out, he wasn't there at the time, so we're not going to get too many details. But I think that's a great point to shift on. Some great memories there, guys, and nice to see Shawls Cushion as well. It's a bit of a cushion marketplace you've got going on, Jess, each week.
I have, yeah.
You had like Yeah.
I
Have
had
you ever
my
got rid of your little spun ad thing that you had going on in the first weeks?
my goalkeeper one. Well, because
Aye.
I'm moving constantly. I'm in different places in the flat all the time.
Oh.
Trying so it's like
You're sat
I mean
down at the minute.
I'm
I'm there.
I'm currently sat on my bed, whereas previously I've been sat on one settee and then another time I've been sat on another settee. So I'm moving around all the time. But this week we've got Shola joining us. So
Yeah, we're gonna get you like one of those little huts. We're gonna get you, yeah, we're gonna get you one of those little huts that you used to get in school that randomly got built outside as extra classrooms,
yeah,
so you can do your videos in.
I need to set up somewhere and have like a permanent position. But
A desk would do. You know.
I've got one, but it's got all my work stuff on, and I don't want to be reminded of work on when I'm doing this. So
Well,
I'll
we'll start a crowdfunder or maybe a petition. You know, I know Newcastle fans like that to
that would
get
be nice.
get Jess a workspace.
Yeah.
In the meantime, two people who we touched on briefly with Josh are clearly not that well renowned in the realms of the NUFC food bank because two very generous young lads from the Newcastle area who I believe played for us at some point. It was a one Paul Dummett and Mark Gillespie, who you did mention, so he's not. They went to the food bank to drop some stuff off the volunteers who don't really follow the club, didn't have a clue who they were, but they got a photo anyway, which is just fantastic. So, you know, Paul Dummett's been working up to be, like the new GEORDIE Messiah, and after all this time, still people in Newcastle don't know who he is. I think it's because he doesn't have his... Yeah, exactly. He must have dyed his hair again or something. So, yeah, that was one of my favourite stories of the week, that one. It's that time when we need to look ahead. It's not long now until we start playing once again. We've got Everton at home on Sunday. I mean, Josh, it's going to be a nightmare for us because Jordan Pickford hasn't got any angry Geordies shouting obscenities at him for the entire game, or just, like calling him a sex offender or a word along those lines. Do you think that we're going to be in a... Yeah, exactly. Yes, exactly. Jurassic Park getting played on the speakers before the game. Do you think that the lack of crowd, Josh, is going to be at all a disadvantage when we're playing Everton, but also without getting in Pickford's head?
Not at all. Pickford will make mistakes regardless of whether there's a crowd or not because he's absolutely useless.
See, the mind games have started.
He'll be
just
watching.
for you, John.
Yeah, exactly. Were you going to say something, Jess?
No. I was just saying that he'll be watching this and listening to that and thinking, right, well, yeah, that'll be it. We're in his head now. In his head.
90 minutes thinking about me is awful as it is. So hopefully it does.
Chucks another tomato at the head of Virgil van Dijk that he's got actually in some stacks or whatever they call it at home. Yeah, it's going to be weird. But the other thing is Everton have had a good start, Graham. We've seen them play football that we used to play under a certain manager from Spain. They seem to be having their moments in that little sweet spot where somehow the team plays like never before. Calvert-Lewin is banging them in. James Rodriguez has been a sensation, hit the ground running. But it does look like Everton are starting to stutter slightly, and they may not be at full strength. Obviously, Digne is going to be out, and he's got his ban just for that one game now. So, do you think there's any positives that we can take going into this one?
There is. I mean, I think Coleman's also out, which is no surprise. So you would like to think that we would, get the ball to St. Maximin and Fraser possibly. He does play for the club. I don't know if you knew that. I don't know if Steve Bruce knows that.
The one with the long hair that normally gets stuck out on the right there.
That's him, yeah.
That's him, yeah.
But yeah, so I would like to think that we would attack their fullbacks, but as that is a sensible game plan, we won't. I think, Ancelotti's a really, really good manager, and he will set Everton up the best way that he can to beat us, which won't be very difficult, I don't think. Unfortunately, I don't think we ever have a clear game plan, and I think Everton will see this as a great opportunity to get back on track. And unfortunately, I think it's just I can't even see us getting a point. to be honest.
Right.
My
Yeah,
expectations are so low. Like painfully low.
I needed you, Graham, because I needed to see how bad it is, to be honest, for some at the minute. No, because the thing is, we spoke about it a bit last week with the others, and I did say that, you know, my patience after Man United was at its all-time low. I think you said it as well, Jess, on Twitter. That was the bit where I think a lot of fans, it was the final straw. Whatever straws people had left, I'm one of those people. You know, we said last week, you know, Steve Bruce can be a decent guy for all of his years, but it's never really going to result in a world-class manager. Yeah. And that is the worry for me now. I think it's Jess. I mean, I put the question to Ian Smith last week about it, but do you think that every point drop now is for the greater good if it means that we get out of this shit show a bit quicker?
It's a difficult one because I'm not gonna wish us to lose. No, so it means Bruce leaves. Do you know what I mean?
That's exactly what Ian said. I'm in the same opinion. Yeah.
Yeah, like I'm obviously, no matter what's happening, I'm always going to want us to win. I'm always going to want us to go out, give it a go, and I'm always going to want us to come out of a game with 3 points. However, I don't want us to be coming out of a game with a point because we've ground it out by getting a free kick in the whatever 90. Do you know what I mean? Like the point that we got on Sunday shouldn't be seen as, oh well, he's got a point, we should keep him on. That should be seen as that should be seen as that was an appalling his team selection. He played an attacking side, set them up so deep, but then still managed to give them so much space and so much time. Like I can't get my head around it. So for me, that's what people should be looking at in terms of whether or not you should be staying on. And for me, you shouldn't.
I think
it's as simple as that.
I'd be a lot more positive about life, in general, if there was a clear game plan, if we showed any sort of attacking impetus, but there just isn't there.
It feels like every week's like a roll of the dice. Like I'll roll the dice and see what comes up, and just hike them all in on this and see how it goes. But that's not you can't get through a season with that. That's not a game plan. That's just a swing and hit and see what happens.
We've always got every single player behind the ball, and it's just and to play Joe Linton ahead of Almiron. I mean, what is that? And during those games, he didn't even put a cross in the box and had one shot. And Almiron, during that time, had 6 crosses in the box and a couple of shots. I think I put an article out about that, but it's just shocking. Cheeky everyone else could see it, but Bruce is just missing it. There's just nothing there, and it's really, really frustrating to watch.
Josh, I was going to ask just briefly, how long do you think it's going to be until something gives, whether it is either if Newcastle miraculously start gelling and start playing some of the best football we've ever seen? It could happen, Grim. Or how long do you think it would take for something to give when Newcastle literally reach breaking point and we think, right, we can't do any more? Bruce has run its course.
I don't think Ashley will sack Bruce, regardless. Unless we get relegated, I don't think he'll sack him, because if I'm right, he's the first manager that Ashley's actually paid for. Yeah. And Ashley doesn't like wasting money, so he's going to get every single drop of blood out of him that he can. The football we're playing is atrocious. The game plan, there is no game plan. We're walking on the pitch and they're just running around like they're friends. There's no football being played. So
I hope they're friends. You know,
I hope so. It looks like they got good camaraderie.
Absolutely.
You can see on the pitch though that the players don't really. They don't know what to do. They don't have any instructions.
Yeah, that's it.
They're supposed to be.
Exactly.
There's no. They're out there in their formation, but they're not given a game plan. They're not being told what to do, where to be, who to pick up. Let's just get out there and give it your best, lads. Let's see what we do this week.
But I don't think Bruce will be sacked. I agree with that, because
no, I don't.
He's still picking up points.
What I meant was, though, do you think that there will come, because we did mention it last week, but do you think that we could get to a McLaren stage?
Yes,
and sack him too late. Yeah,
I think when it does, it will get to that point. But when it does get to that point, it will be too late, and I think we'll be down before that happens. Unfortunately,
unsavable.
I think that we're going to have just from looking at the other teams. I think that we're going to have a season where we are the worst of the rest. I still think that there are 3 teams who are in dire straits. Fulham, West Brom, unless they start really hitting form. And unfortunately, unless this disastrous, what looks like a disastrous takeover goes through for them, and Burnley lose all identity that they've been building up, and Burnley could be the ones to slip away. So I think it might take us to literally go to the edge in order to get that point. But I hope it never comes. I seriously don't. Well, I hope that something changes. I don't mean keep Steve Bruce forever. Jess, I'll ask you first on this one. We've lost your prediction powers, and we need them back. Everton, how's it going?
I think we'll get 2-0.
2-0. Safe bet. Do you want to put first score on, just because I know that you're quite lucky with these things?
Gotta
be DCL. Yeah, got to be DCL just because you need my fantasy team still.
And mine.
I know. I'll be captaining him again. I did that with Son, and it went disastrously wrong against Newcastle. So Graham, what do you reckon?
3-1 Everton. I reckon Calvert-Lewin will probably destroy us, and Wilson will nick a late consolation.
All right, Wilson gets a goal just to keep him on course for the Golden Boot, for the only time that someone's actually going to win the Golden Boot and the team go down in the same season. And Josh, what about yourself?
I'm going to go 3-2 Everton, because I think we're going to score 2 from outside the area, because he loves conceding a goal from outside the area of Pickford. But Calvert-Lewin's going to have a field day against our back four, so 3-2.
Yeah, who's going to score for us, do you reckon?
Who's he going to play? Joe Linton.
Why not? 2 goals for Big Joe.
Big Joe.
Yeah, well, I don't know. For me, I'm with you. I think that it's going to be a really horrible game to watch, which is why I'm going out where there's a bar nearby, and I'm going to try and do it that way. But yeah, I think I'll probably stick with the 2-0 with you, Jess. It's going to be 2 goals one way or another, I think. Oh dear me, it's going to be nasty. Aren't they currently top of the league?
Yes.
Yeah. All right. Well, not for much longer. That's the positivity that we want to end ExtraTyne on. If all else fails for Newcastle United, there is always a bricklayer on the bench that can build a wall in front of Carl Darlow if he wishes. That's right. Get Florent Indalecio in there. When there's something strange in your neighbourhood, who are you going to call? San Maximan's mate. Thank you very much for joining us this week, lads. Josh, what's on the horizon with the campaign and everything? What's the crack at the minute?
At the minute, there's not a lot brewing. Obviously, we're still supporting everyone through COVID, so keep an eye out on the Facebook page, which is just Be a Game Changer. I constantly share things on Twitter, so give me a follow and see what we're doing. And obviously the new building that's coming, which will support the entire foundation.
That looks amazing. Looks really good.
It looks incredible. It really does.
And yeah, did you decide on the name? Because I thought with it being in Newcastle, with your accent and all that, was that Newcastle?
Yeah, I just pronounced it wrong. To be honest. What do you fancy, mate? I went Newcastle, and then that was it.
Exactly. There we go. Secrets of the trade. Graham, what big things have you guys got planned?
Well, we've always got
more damning articles.
We've always got articles coming out, but we're doing this team of the decade, Newcastle United team of the decade, and we partnered up with Toon Polls. So we've put that out on Twitter, and it'll be a 2-week thing where we're doing options for each position. The goalkeeper one is up now, so get voting.
Yeah. Who's the choices with that? Did Given make it in?
No, because he wasn't.
He was gone by that point.
Gone.
So,
it was Krul, Dubravka, Darlow, and Elliot.
Matt Sells. Okay.
Completely forgot about the legend that is Matt Sells.
Never forgets.
I would have
don't forget
won as well.
Jack Anick in there as well. I mean, come on, that's just, we're talking about local lads and everything. Right. Yeah. Well, we'll reconvene next week, Jess, and we'll see how things are. And we'll go from there. Thank you to Mike Ashley for making this video possible. Thank you for Mike Ashley for putting in the clubs on my body, the food on my table, and our glorious leader, may he reign forever. This has been a broadcast from the Mike Ashley TV channel.
Feel sick.
Hero of our time. May the Lord protect him and all
Hero
of his
of the
children.
time.
Hero of the week, by all means, but maybe not by next week. This has been ExtraTyne. It's probably time for me to go, and thank you very much.